The biggest mistake you can do is firing an employee, firing a contractor, or even letting go or stopping a relationship with your coach without having a plan of action. We see it far too many times. People are trying to build successful businesses, and there's no way you can ever do that if you're not in a place where you have a strategy for what you're going to do. Business is the game of chess. You got to know where to move your chess moves. You got to know who should you bring on, who should you fire, who should you let go, what kind of wise counsel do you need to bring on, or when the wise counsel is over, right? When you're already at a certain level where you can elevate to the next level, you can elevate to the next phase, or you can exit the relationship. So really what today is about is when do you know when to exit a relationship with somebody, particularly a business relationship with somebody. When should you do it, and what should you have in place? Because if you have nothing in place and you're trying to grow a business, but you haven't identified what your new strategy is or your alternative strategy is, you're actually going to do worse in business than do better. Most people in those relationships because they think that it's going to actually help them grow the business. I'm going to let go of employees because I'm going to save money in my business. Right? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. There is times to stop working with contractors or stop working with employees or graduate, past the coach or the person you working with, right? I mean, it just depends. Or maybe there's times you can continue working, but it all really depends. So really, how do you evaluate that though? How do you know what moves to be able to make? How do you know what your strategy is? How do you know whether your business model changed or not? Or how do you get the same and or better results when you do in the relationship or exit a relationship with a business in terms of a business partnership with an employee, a contractor, and or a coach? What's good, my people? We focused on today. This is Recharging Your Business. We do this every single day at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And I'm glad to kick you out of the game. This is what we do, right? Showing you how to level up your business in all areas. And I'm excited to see you guys. So what up? I see y'all out here in the building. What's going on? Lou, L.O. We got my guy James Beverly in the building. What's going on, James? Good to see you, player. All right, good to see y'all, and I'm excited about today because we're really going to talk about what does that look like, right? Ending those relationships, firing people, or letting people go, and what do you do as an alternative? What do you do? So I'm gonna share some of the experiences now. Before I jump into that, or my personal experiences, before I do that, we're going to talk about that first. And then we're going to go into, I'm going to give you some resources that's going to allow you to take your business to the next level if you like really serious about it. And then we're going to go in and I'm going to take 1 or 2 questions. We're going to do Q&A. All right. So if you're excited, go ahead and put excited below. If you're ready, drop a ready, give some like, give some love to this. And then also, if you know somebody who's having issues with their team, if you know somebody who's like, they don't know whether should let somebody go or should hire, or, like, what do I need to do in terms of building relationships or letting go of a team. If you know people who have issues with a team, go ahead and click them below. Go ahead and click that the arrow below. So this is going to be a very good session. Now, my experience has been when it really comes to relationships, right? And specifically in business and knowing who to hire or who to fire, right? And mostly this is like, when to exit a relationship. So a lot of my relationships started with, because I'm a business, development expert. Right. So a lot of my relationships started with people who started with 2 things. It started with coaches, and it also meaning my own coaches who taught me or who consult me in order to go to the next level. And then it started with virtual assistants. Right. So those are the 2 things, like when I really started to have some success in business, those are really like the 2 things that I kind of went to first. Who can help me think about this differently in a different way, but then who could also do the work? Who could do the work, do the hands-on work while I'm at my 9-to-5 job, or do the hands-on work as I'm scaling a business past 6 figures? Like, who can do that? So, but one of the things is I have the type of relationship where I like to be loyal. I like to build long-term relationships with people. So that's a gift and that's a curse sometimes, right? If you have that type of personality, you could be in a position where it's just like, yeah, you're great, you're happy working with people, and and you can even have a good working relationship with them. But the challenge is it can be hard for our type of personalities to let people go sometime or to move on past the relationship. And that can be really difficult. So you don't really know what to do. And then even once we do that, it can get difficult to say, okay, now that I have to let this person go, or now that I'm no longer in this basically this partnership with them. Because I also look at my contractors and employees as partners, right? So I also view them that way. And even my coaches, I look at them as partners too, right? Because they're bringing a certain level of expertise to be able to help me grow, whether it's transactional or whatever, but they're bringing that expertise. So I really look at them as partners. So those are the two types of relationships. Now, I've had both where I've hired, and I've had both where I had to exit those relationships, right? So how do you really know which one is which? How I really think about it is every level that you grow to, you may need to surround yourself with a new team. Most of the time you do. Meaning, if you're in a place where, let's say you hire, a virtual assistant, right? I got a lot of folks who have service-based businesses and they follow me online. And, they're in a place where they're growing. They might be in growth mode. Well, if they're in growth mode, sometimes you can actually grow past the capacity that your actual team has the capability to do, right? So the same people that used to work with me when I was trying to make my first $5,000 a month, now, that we've scaled, to multiple six figures, that person may not necessarily be able to handle that same capacity, or may not have grown at the same rate, or may not be able to handle the workload, because you really have to grow. Like if you're not in real growth mode, like you got to make sure not only do you grow, but everybody on your team grows. If you have virtual assistants or people on your team or employees, you gotta make sure that they grow with you, because you can't keep the same team working for you or with you at, if you're below six figures and then you're trying to get to six figures, multiple six figures, then seven figures. They say every level, you usually have to let go people on your team to get to the next level, just because the skill set isn't there. It's a different skill set. When I first started and I was hiring virtual assistants, they weren't really even virtual assistants. Like I hired like my cousin one time, and then I did hire a virtual assistant early on, but they didn't really have the skill set. I was paying a lot less, right? So they didn't really have all the skill sets that I needed, or the expertise that I needed. But I'm like, I just need another pair of hands. I need a jack of all trades like me. And so that's who I was looking to work with. But as I continue to get more successful, I'm like, oh no, I really need somebody who can do video better. I really need somebody who's more organized. I really need somebody who has better communication. I need somebody who's a self-starter, and I don't got to tell them to do everything. So there's certain skill sets that I started realizing was important as I started to level up in my business. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, go ahead and put "make sense" below. Go ahead and give this some like and give some love. It makes sense, because this is something that we have to level up, and it could be the same way for coaches too, right? If you have, there's certain coaches and or mentors that I had early on that I was investing in, but as I continued to grow and maybe grow in a different direction, or as I kind of grew past maybe the capacity of what they were willing to help me with, that's fine, right? If you're in a place where, like, I've had coaches, I often train on this. I usually say, you can, let's say if you are an expert in a certain topic, right? You, from a scale from 1 to 10, 0 is you know nothing about the topic, and 10 is you have the most experience, the most expertise, and the most education on your topic, meaning you pretty much know everything about your category. Let's say that you're at a level 4 in terms of your knowledge, your experience, and your expertise to help somebody. Now, you can help everybody from a 0 to 3. 0 to 3, people will pay you all day. But once somebody gets past a certain level of knowledge and or experience, if that happens to you, and it happened to me before, where I actually, the people that has been coaching me and or mentoring me, I got past a certain level of skill set where they really couldn't help me with it, then I had to exit that relationship. And it's not good or bad. It's just, okay, well, what's the next level of what I need? And if they couldn't help me with that, we're going to exit the relationship. That's all it is in this business. So once you start to grow and or build or pivot, you really have to evaluate what that really looks like. And I remember having a virtual assistant one time, and this was early on, years and years ago, where when I brought her on, and when I brought her on, she was at like a great price, and I'm like, yo, like this is amazing. I got somebody who like is by my side. I got somebody who's helping me out. No, I'm working it. I'm trying to figure it out, but I got somebody that's next to me, and it started off pretty good. But then as I started to grow and we started to get more clientele, and I started to have to tighten up my processes, I started to tighten up my systems. I started to collapse time frames in terms of, wait a minute, why are we waiting so long to get back to this person? And I started increasing my level of quickness, my level of responsiveness. As I started to get better in terms of being able to explain what I have, and we started to bring them on clients, and basically just the demand grew. My expectations grew in terms of the quality of service, excellence that we provide to our clientele. Once that started happening, that relationship that I had with that virtual assistant started to fade. And now my expectations that I didn't have 6 months or a year ago, now my expectations are different now. Now my expectations are, hey, when I send you this, and I might not have said exactly like this, but hey, when I send you this, we need to get the turnaround time back quicker. I need you to communicate with me. Hey, we got this person that's looking to join us right now and pay this invoice. Like that's something you need to handle like right now. Hey, like I need you to get this done. Hey, we got to get this to this client. And now my expectations changed in terms of the pace and the speed that we're moving, but that's not the pace and the speed that she's used to. So now the pace is no longer sufficient. The communication in terms of being able to get back and, waiting 3, 4, 5 hours to respond is no longer sufficient. Having a lack of detail is no longer sufficient. And just kind of throwing something together or doing something to kind of say we have it or it doesn't really look good is no longer sufficient. The types of materials that we provide to our clientele is no longer sufficient. And so it was just these different things, just being able, how we communicate to our potential clients was no longer sufficient. I had she was also doing like lead generation for me, right? Which is huge for any business. Any business, cash flow is king. So you got to be able to generate cash flow in your business. So you're not really even in business. So she was doing lead generation, but what I was happy with a year ago, I'm not really happy with now. Just kind of reaching out to anybody who would be interested in our product or service is no longer good now, right? We're more targeted now. You just basically sending anything random or making errors or making, mistakes in what you're saying on emails you're sending out, or sending it to the wrong person, or, forgetting to set up invoices correctly, or you feel what I'm saying? It's like these certain things that now is like, no, we really got to get this tight. So we had to exit that relationship. So it's really important that once you figure out what your new standard is and you evaluate your team, you evaluate your coaches, you evaluate your contractors or whoever you're working with, and if you make a decision that, okay, we have to exit this relationship, not only do you exit the relationship, but you also need to make sure that what do we have in place to supplement? Because I guarantee, when you look at some of the largest companies, Amazon let go, I want to say like 15,000 employees, right? Recently, because of the recession. Microsoft let go like 10,000 employees, right? And a lot of these companies letting go a lot of employees. AMC theaters, they shut down, I want to say close to or more than around 40 theaters all over the country, right? Which is hundreds and or thousands of people that had jobs in all of those theaters, right? But why am I mentioning that is because these companies are not downsizing, or they're not doing business with these people anymore, not just to not do it. They doing it because they have a strategy on what the extra funds are going to do. They have a strategy on where they're going to pivot their money next. They're saying, I'm putting my money into this, but now since things changed, how do I leverage the money I was putting into this in this area so we can continue to grow? No business is going to downsize and make less money just to make less money. They're doing it because they feel like it's a better play to put the money here to be able to grow, whether that's hiring somebody with a better skill set, or whether that's now is leveraging technology, now is leveraging AI, right? Now is leveraging, maybe online advertising and things of that nature. So if this is like, if you really understand it, go ahead and put OMG below. Throw some fire emojis below. Give this some love. Let me know that if the wheels is turning, right? The wheels is turning, because we really gotta. I don't think there's enough conversation in the marketplace about this right now, which is why we're talking about it, because it's a real thing inside of business. You know what I mean? It's a real thing where you're creating and you're removing yourself from relationships in business all the time. But how do you really know? And nobody really shows you how to navigate that, which is why we're doing this in business. So all right, so now we know what to do there. But now let's focus on, okay, well, how do I adjust my business model? How do I adjust my strategy? So, for example, let me go back. This is before, my first couple of virtual assistants, right? It was very similar issues that I was facing, and I didn't really know. What happened is I was going through a time where I was growing, but then I would level off. And it happens in business. You grow and then you stagnate. You grow and then you plateau, right? And that's how business is all the time. Now, I remember saying, okay, now I don't have somebody who could do the lead generation for me. Like, I need to still generate leads, but how am I going to be able to do that? So that is when I started running Facebook advertisements, and I realized, I said, okay, well, if I'm gonna, how do I leverage something that eliminates the human error, right? Anytime you have a human doing something, there's gonna be some level of human error, right? But sometimes you need it, but sometimes there's other technology and other things you can do that's gonna allow you to be able to go to the next level and not have the human error. So this is really when I started looking into Facebook ads. And then once that happened and I started leveraging Facebook ads and I started learning Facebook ads, boom, that's when we really took off. And that's because advertisements, one, my business model was, I said, I still need to, in service-based businesses, a lot of times we have to talk to our clientele. It's not like a product or like a course, like a low ticket course or ebook where you're sending somebody to a website to just buy. If you're in a service-based business like coaching, or I was on a call earlier with a guy who does he has a landscaping service, or you are a therapist, or you're an accountant or a lawyer, or whatever it is, right? Or you're a speaker, whatever it is, right? You offer some type of service. Now, for that, our job is to find qualified leads. And those qualified leads, we want to have conversations with to see if we can truly help them, if our products and services can really help them with their challenges, and then that's how we do business. Well, I had a virtual assistant that was doing that lead generation for me, but once I exited that relationship, then it was, okay, I still need to get it, and I started running these ads, and that is what allowed me to continually, while I was sleeping, while I was at work, while I was on calls with people, it will work 24/7, and that's what allowed us to grow. So in a case like that, I actually downsized my clients. I downsized my team, but my revenue went up. Does that make sense? I downsized it, and my revenue went up because I didn't just downsize it and save money just to be saving money. I did it because I wanted to deploy the funds to open up some funds for me to be able to run ads, right? So I did that. And then really early on, I really didn't have the time and or the expertise at first. So really, I've learned very, very quickly, like, okay, until I learn this, I don't just want to be burning money, because a lot of times people, when they start running ads, they're burning money, right? Because they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know how to target correctly. They don't have the skill of copywriting. I mean, it's just so they don't have the patience to test. They don't have the time to even create the different visual elements to be able to even test. So that's what I was going through when I first started. So I hired an ads agency at first, and that's what allowed us to be able to grow. You know what I mean? So then we've been working with like an ad agency that helped us grow, and then I got to a point where I was able to learn it. And then once I learned it, I started doing it myself. And then at some point we actually had our own internal ads team, right? So I went from that to doing it myself for a very short period of time to having my team be able to run the ads for us. And then now we have an agency where we do this for other small businesses and service-based providers and coaching companies, etc. Right? So that was like my progression of my journey. But if I had to give you some advice, and then I'll give you some resources, and then maybe we'll take a question. If I had to give you some advice on this, is know when to exit the relationship, but don't just exit it. What is your plan of action? Every business need leads. So if that's the direction we're looking at, if that's the department that you need help in, and that's something that you've that fell to the wayside, of that's something that you exited a coaching relationship with somebody who was consulting you on how to generate leads or how to get clients, or you had a virtual assistant that you had to let go, but they was helping you with getting clients or lead generation. Now you got to figure out what you need to do. All right, what do I need to do? You know what I mean? And that may mean, let me take the money that I was spending on this virtual assistant, or let me spend more money and let me focus on somebody who knows what they're doing, like an ads agency or something like that, right? So that's one example, but that could be customer service, that could be sales, that could be any department you want. I know a lot of the clients we've been getting recently have been people who have literally either been burnt out, which is basically the same thing as like they're doing too much themselves, so they hire us, or B, they've been trying to figure out where to allocate their resources to be able to generate more leads, and not just more leads, but higher quality of leads. And so they also work with us as well, and they hand over the reins and say, yo, listen, Terrell, you take your agency, y'all just go generate leads for us, and we get and then they make that investment. All right, so that's kind of really what you want to be thinking about. Is this helpful? Let me know if y'all loving this. Go ahead and put I'm loving this below. Give this some like, give this some love. Let me know if this is really helpful to you. My guy Vince is in the building. Good to see you. Fiona's in the building. Good to see y'all. So this is what we're going to do. And we kind of tight on time right now. So I'm going to kind of give you these resources. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a DM. So if you're in a place right now where you're like, I'm loving this, and I one-on-one run ads myself. If you are the brave soul that wants to do it yourself, because maybe that's just where you're at in your business, that's fine. Then go ahead and put one cheat sheet below. I'm gonna give you a one-page cheat sheet that's really gonna show you all the different elements we look at when it comes to running Facebook ads successfully. So if you want to run your own ads, we'll give you the cheat sheet free, but you just gotta put below cheat sheet or shoot me a DM that says cheat sheet, and I'll give that to you. First thing. Second thing, if you want to learn from me in person on how to market or promote your business, and I'm gonna have all of my high-level, successful, influential friends, they're coming out to New York City on March 25th. If you want to be a part of that, and you want to be like front row and center, and you want to learn and level up your business, then go to pcsbootcamp.com and go ahead and put that in the chat. Somebody put that in the chat for me. pcsbootcamp.com. So if you want to, go ahead and get your tickets, which, by the way, Friday is the last day to get half off those tickets, and it's gonna go up next week. So make sure you get your tickets ASAP. Number 3, if you want one-on-one, I'm loving it. I'm growing. I'm in my build phase right now, but I need some one-on-one coaching and consulting to be able to help me level up my business. If you want that, then go ahead and put coach me below, or shoot me a DM that says coach me, and then I'll put you on my calendar, and then I'll see if and how I can help. All right. And then 4th is, if you just want us to run your ads for you, you also have that ability to have us be able to run your ads as well. And obviously you have to qualify for us to be able to do it, because we only take on certain types of businesses. So if that, or certain types of either maturity in businesses, or basically we have certain type of qualifications. So if you're interested in that, we can definitely have a conversation about it. So go ahead and put Facebook ads below, or shoot me a DM that says Facebook ads. All right. And let me leave you with this. We all have the ability to grow and build, but you got to do it strategically. Just over the years of me being in business, I really learned that there's times where things are up, things are down. There's times where, you have to pivot. There's times where you're bringing on a team, and there's times where you're letting teams go, right? And throughout the years, every major company, every major Fortune 500 company has done it. We've seen it all the time, from bailouts to things like pandemics that happen in the economy, to recessions that happen in the economy. So, there's nothing that's just always going to win, but you have to be strategic about where you put your time, your focus, your energy, and where you put your dollars at. because you always want to be able to grow or get back in a position. Right? So always really keep that in mind. And as long as you have the mindset of, creating, how do you create the best team, which is what this is, right? You have to let some people go to create a better team. Then you got to do that, right? It happens in sports all the time. Players get traded back and forth, right? But every single team on every single sport is always trying to recruit the best players. Why? Because you win championships when you recruit the best players. When you got the best talent on your team, you're more likely to win a championship. When you got the best people in your company that are working with you, you're more likely to get the result that you want. When you hire rookies or you hire people who don't really know what they're doing, then you're less likely to get the result that you want. So that's how you have to move. So always relate sports to business, and then you'll really understand the best way to grow. All right. With that being said, I appreciate you all. Continue to work, continue to make things happen. All right. And I'll see you on tomorrow's Recharging Your Business. All right. Talk to you soon. Let's work.